Okay guys, so again, we're gonna do a new piece of paper in Photoshop. So File, New. You can get yourself Print, Letter, and I'm gonna call this one Blend Mode Sampler. 8.5 by 11, that's fine. And I'll hit Create. And then for blend modes, I'm actually gonna go ahead and give myself some sort of dark color background. So I'm gonna go over here in my layer palette. I'm gonna go to the little yin yang, the little black and white, and I'm gonna choose solid color. And your color picker is gonna open up, and I just wanna choose a dark color. It doesn't matter what, but something kind of dark like a navy blue or really dark purple. I don't care. We're just gonna try anything dark because we're gonna get some light textures and we're gonna see how they work with blend mode. So I'll get, yeah, just something dark. It doesn't matter what. Okay, so we're getting a color that's nice and dark. Let's say, for instance, you didn't choose a color that was dark enough, or you were like, actually, I want a different color. So what you can do is you can actually double click in here and you can choose, you can still change your color. So even though I chose a dark navy blue, maybe now I want to do like a purple. So you can try it out. Just double click inside this little square and that will allow you to change the color. So Photoshop's so nice because you can keep changing things even after you've done it. So, you know, nothing's permanent. It's okay. You can always fix it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and for blend modes, we're gonna practice with some different light textures. So I'm just gonna hop on over to Google Images and I'm looking up light texture and let's see what we get. Images. All right, so I'm looking for an image for this blend mode sampler where I have like some light and then kind of like a really dark or black background. So this one looks like it'll work nicely. This one will work nicely. So I'm just looking for areas of light with on a black background. So this one looks good. This is like abstract light texture. You can also just look up abstract light texture, abstract light texture. You don't need to choose the same one as me. Oh, this one looks kind of cool too. This looks cool. Anything where it's like really dark. All right, and then you're gonna grab your image and we're gonna right click. We're gonna copy paste it just like we've done before. Copy image. And I'm gonna go to Photoshop and I'm gonna paste it in. Control V is paste. Whoop. I think my Photoshop might be getting a little freezy. Control V is paste. There we go. Control T is transform. My computer is lagging. That's okay. All right, and then I'm gonna make this bigger. And right now, you can really see that this is, I have my purple background and then I've got my image, but it looks like, you know, a rectangle, like a box, right? So we've got these things called blend modes that are gonna allow us, Photoshop's just gonna literally do that. It's gonna blend the images together. So right here, I've got some different things. So I have opacity. So I could take my opacity of my layer and I can turn it down and that sort of blends them together, but I can still see this. It's really just everything's fading, right? So I'm gonna turn my opacity back up. Right next to it, there's a box that says normal. And I'm gonna take this and there's all these different, these are called blend modes. And it's again, different ways that I'm blending my picture together. So when you're looking at light and getting rid of a black background, some of these ones in this area, lighten, screen, color dodge, lighter color, these are all gonna work. And you can see that it's really dropping out the black parts of the image when I use these ones. So I'm gonna use maybe screen. And Control T. So, whoopsies. So I've got this one and I've just blended it in some way. I'm gonna go ahead and get another texture. Another thing, and then see how I can blend it together. So let's see, here's another. I'm gonna look for maybe like I'll try this one. Right click, copy image. I'm just looking for different light textures. And we'll do 6 of them maybe. And if you don't get finished with this today, no problem at all. And just try out these different blend modes. And this is the section I'm looking at: lighten screen, color dodge, linear dodge, lighter color. Ooh, I think that screen looks pretty cool. All right, that one looks kind of cool. And I'll look for another one. Let's see, we can also look up light burst, texture. Let's see. And again, I don't want something with the checkerboard. We're not going to use the PNG right now. We're just going to try doing blend modes on our own. So we'll see if we can find something where there's like a black background. Oh, this has a watermark on it. It is a sampler, so it's okay if it has a watermark, but if you can find something without it, that's better. Well, this could be cool. Maybe I'll do this one. Right click, copy image, paste it in. And I'm gonna go to screen. All right, so on and so forth. So this is just blending your picture with the light in a different way. So I can also go back here and then I can change my color. Maybe I don't like how purple is interacting with this. Double click your color, see what happens when you change the background, when you go even darker. Oh, that's kind of cool if I go even darker. So just play around, change your background color. Also, watch what happens if I make it really light. The whole thing gets super light. So again, we're just playing with how these different images blend together. And the blend modes you want to use are from this little category: lighten screen, color dodge, linear dodge, lighter color. All right, so play around with these. You can also play around with layering these things. So I'm going to make these bigger and see how this kind of interacts. If I layer these things together, let's see what happens. Ooh, what happens? It looks a little different if I put it on top of here. I can still see that other image that was below. So I'm gonna make this even bigger and see how this all interacts together. And you can see that I can see through each of these kind of different layers that I have. So this is blend modes. So just try and make something interesting. Try, you know, maybe 4 to 6 different layers. See what you can do, what you can come up with. Okay, so at this point, I now have, you know, several different nhưng and again, I can take my eyeball and click them on and off so I can go through them and see what exactly I've got. But one thing I'm noticing is that on some of these edges, let's see, like this, for instance, this image right here, I'm getting like a pretty hard edge right here. So I'm just going to show you how to get rid of that using what's called a layer mask. So you could use, there is an eraser tool, you could use an eraser, but I actually never like to use the eraser in Photoshop because it's destructive. Like once you get rid of those pixels, you can't get them back. So there's a better way to do things instead of using the eraser, and that's using a black and a white brush. So I'm going to go over here to my, just get my brush colors back to black and white, and I'm just hitting this little default thing. And then I can click the little arrow. I can also click X on my keyboard to go back and forth between those. And D on your keyboard brings up the default black and white, and X allows you to toggle between them. All right, then I'm going to open B, my brush, my paintbrush, and I'm not going to paint directly on this image. I'm using my bracket on my keyboard right now to make my brush bigger. I'm actually going to get a very soft brush, so I'm taking the hardness down to 0, and I'm taking my opacity maybe like 50%. And I'm going to, let me show you why I don't want to just paint with black. I have a black background, so if I painted with black, it'd be okay. But I just want to show you, I'm not painting with black on my image. I'm going to actually use what's called a layer mask. So I'm getting this layer mask right here, and I'm using my black paintbrush, And when I do that, I can just kind of fade this image. So I'm getting rid of that harsh outline to kind of blend the images together just a little bit better. I'll change this back to black so now you can see. There we go. And then I'll put this one on and let's see, does this one, whoops, I need to be on this later, Control T. Does this one need, this one looks pretty good. I can turn off the other layers though, just to take a look. And it doesn't look like, it looks like this one's blending quite nicely, so I don't need to worry about that. I do notice though that I have like a lot of purple. So another little trick, if you want to change the color of something, quick way to do that is Control U on your keyboard. You can also go up here to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation, but Control U is the easy shortcut. And if I Control U, you see I can go through and I can just change this hue slider. I can also make things more saturated. So if I want it like super intense color, I can do that, and I can make it less saturated, which will make it black and white. So it's just like another little trick. So I'm going to turn this layer back on, and before it was purple, and I'm going to hit Control U, and maybe I could, you know, if I wanted to change it so it was a little bit different, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can do that. Let me take a look at this layer. This layer, I don't think I have any harsh outlines. This one seems to be blending nicely, but you know, maybe this one I do want to change. I want to change the color. I can also turn layers down. So like this one, I don't know, maybe it's a little too intense. Maybe I'll turn this layer down a little bit so it's a little less intense. This layer, I like this, but maybe I want to change the color. Control U, I can go through, and there we go. Now maybe I'll just keep this whole thing purples and blues. So I like that. You can also duplicate a layer. Let's say I really like this and I want like more of it. Control J is duplicate. Oh, and you'll notice when I did Control J, it actually made it a little bit more intense and lighter. So let's try that Control J again. And ooh, it's getting even brighter. So I'm stacking this image and it's getting brighter and brighter. And again, you don't have to do all these things. Just these are some extras as you're working with the blend modes. All right, here's another layer. Let me go ahead and, oops, take a look, Control T. All right, so I have this layer here. Maybe I'll move this around. You know, whatever, you're just trying to create something kind of interesting using blend modes. You know, and move stuff around. You can change the size of things. Let's see, I like this image right here. I think I'm going to Control T this. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Maybe I'll duplicate it, Control J, Control T. So I have another one. Control J is how you duplicate. Control J, Control T. Now I've got another one. Maybe I'll change the opacity of one of these. I'll repeat this shape, I don't know, over here. Whatever, just play around. Control J, Control T. Change your hue, change your saturation, play with your opacity. There's lots of things that you can do. And all your blend modes stored right here. You don't have to use the ones from this section. When you're working with light, these are generally the ones that work best, but definitely play around, see what else there is to see. See how these layers interact with one another and try and make something, you know, some sort of abstract, interesting background. And that's it. When you're done, you're going to go ahead and save your work 2 times. File, save as, save on your computer, save on your computer. And we're going to go to your Google Drive. Hopefully you have a digital art folder. And this is the blend mode sampler. I'm going to add my name on there. You can add your name, save, and then the second time you save it, you're going to save a copy. And the JPEG is what you're going to turn in. You can also get to this, you can do save a copy like so. Oh, it's still saving. It's just telling me that the computer was busy. Save a copy, drop down to JPEG. If you accidentally hit File, Save As, you can still get to save a copy by clicking here. Save a copy and JPEG. save, save, and then that's what you're going to turn in.